No one can be told what the Matrix is. You have
Hi everyone, my name is Moni.
And I'm Naveen from Before You Play.
And we are back. We're finally back from GenCon, although GenCon was about a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, we anticipated doing this video right after coming back from GenCon, but it was tough. It was hard to do. We were pretty exhausted from it, and we also had a house guest here staying with us, so it made filming a little bit difficult.
Yeah, we were exhausted. Fortunately, our PCRs came back negative. We didn't get sick or anything like that. We were just tired,
yeah.
So we took a little bit of time to rest, but we are now back and we are ready to talk about our experience going to GenCon for the first time. So we're going to start by talking about our experience at the convention, and then we'll go into the hot games and we'll revisit our top 10 list towards the end of the video. So we'll include timestamps down below in case you'd like to jump around. So for those of you who don't know, GenCon is the largest board gaming convention in the United States. It happens every year in Indianapolis, Indiana, and it was our first time going.
Yeah, it's always held in early August, and it's not just contained to the convention center. It also goes to Lucas Oil Field, to all the neighboring hotels that are around there. Even when you land at the airport, there's like signage there saying "Welcome GenCon 2022."
Yeah.
So the city really embraces it, which is really, really cool.
Like Naveen was mentioning, there are neighboring hotels, and a lot of them are connected to the convention center, so you can just kind of walk from your hotel into the center. We were not at one of them.
No.
So our walk was about 10 minutes each way.
93 degrees, humid.
It is humid there. We didn't realize it.
First day, we're like, yeah, we'll just walk it. It's not too bad. And then like 4 minutes into the walk, you're like, we should have just Ubered. Yeah.
Right. Now, as for the convention itself, we primarily stayed in the exhibitors hall. And so when you first go into the convention hall, it's probably going to be one of the first things you notice, because the exhibitors hall is huge.
It's really big, yeah.
And it's like one of the central parts of the convention center. In addition to that, though, there are also a lot of events that were going on that a majority of the time you had to kind of pay when you signed up for, which I thought was
different. Yeah, it's different. Most conventions we've gone to, it's never been like pay to play kind of stuff, like ticketed events. I think they do it just because they want to avoid like cancellations, and they want to make sure that like, hey, if you're going to be here at 2 o'clock, like you got to have a little bit of skin in the game to be there so that it doesn't create kind of chaos.
Yeah, for a convention of that size,
yeah.
Yeah, that would be kind of tough if everybody was just not showing up to things.
Yeah, or if like you get like 50 people showing up to this one thing that has like, two copies for demos and stuff.
The thing that's neat about GenCon is it's quite a spectacle. They have large displays, they have musical events that are just kind of in the hall, that they have, performers who are playing music from Pokemon, Star Wars, just, different fandoms, right?
Yeah, they just have like different like musical groups or artists just that are just like kind of littered throughout the different hallways as you're walking around. So it kind of creates like this ambiance of like you're at a fair or a festival, which is really, really nice.
It's really cool. There's cosplaying events, a lot of different things going on, a lot of stuff that we probably don't even realize were going on because it's such a big event, right? So let's start with the exhibitors hall. Every convention has one. So what are your thoughts on the exhibitors hall here?
Yeah, it's big. It's really, really big. I never felt though that it was so crowded that I couldn't get from like point A to point B, or that it was like, oh my gosh, if I could just get through, I can get to where I need to go. It felt like they spaced it out pretty well to the point where it was smooth to get from location to location.
Yeah, that's the interesting part. Whenever we would talk to people about going to GenCon, that was always one of the big things that they would mention, that it's going to be so crowded. It's so many people go. And it's true. A lot of people do go. But like, if you go to Essence Spiel, like that convention is super crowded. You're like rubbing against people as you walk, right?
Yeah.
In between booths.
So I'm not sure if that's because of the that's probably because of the less attendees going because of, COVID and everything. But I'm assuming that in the future, if there's, a higher percentage, it will feel more clustered. But I think with the expansive kind of layout of everything and the different activities that are happening outside of just the exhibitors hall, I think it kind of, it kind of like spreads people out just a little bit more, so you have a little more fluidity going around.
And that's a good thing. The fact that it didn't feel, too claustrophobic or crowded in the exhibitors hall, because it was still busy.
Yeah, totally.
A lot of the publishers were selling out of games. They're selling out of games on the first day. But a lot of them also had production delays, which is something that we hear happens every year.
Production and shipping issues where...
It's just so unfortunate when that happens.
Yeah, you'd hear some publishers say, like, it's expected to arrive on Monday, the day after the con.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happens there. Like, does it actually get shipped, or do they say stop do not ship it here.
I don't know.
Leave it where it is, you know, something like that. I have no idea what happens in that
always
situation.
Felt so bad whenever a publisher would mention that this game didn't even come. But they always have such a good attitude about it, right?
They do,
It's
yeah.
like, well, what can we do?
I'm assuming there's some sort of insurance policy in place.
Hopefully.
I would hope.
And there are other types of booths there as well. It's not just board gaming. So there are anime booths, which I was really excited about.
Yeah, RPG stuff.
Yeah, RPG stuff. There are people who sell board game adjacent stuff like accessories and just a wide variety of things that you'll find there. Some of the booths also had things set up that you can kind of interact with, just displays or just some fun stuff.
The people that do Everdell had their tree out.
And most board game publishers had mini demos set up at their booths where you can kind of play like a round or two of whatever new game they're featuring.
They're showcasing, yeah.
We did demo a couple of games that are coming out, notably Turtle Splash, which is a family game published by Lucky Duck Games. That's a new one. If you have kids and you're looking for a family-style game, it sounds like a really great one.
Yeah, it's a memory game.
Dexterity
a little
memory.
bit of dexterity, yeah. And so it's cute, nice artwork, and it's a good family weight game.
Yeah, you're flicking this thing that goes down like a slide, and then depending on how close you're able to get it on this area, it determines how many of these character tiles, animal tiles, you get to flip over. And you're basically trying to get all of your markers to the very end of the board by flipping over the correct animals. So there's a strong memory component. It's very, very cute, and it's very fast. We actually played a whole game with that. And we demoed the 2 upcoming CGE games, which are Starship Captains, I think.
Starship Captains.
And Deal with the Devil.
Yes.
Starship Captains looks fun.
Does look fun, yeah.
and very, very cute. Very, very nice table presence. Deal with the Devil is one that we were both very, very, very excited to kind of get a rundown on.
Yeah.
Just because it's designed by the same designer as Alchemist, which is one of our favorite games of all time.
Yep.
And it is a 4-player only, like, Euro negotiating game. It sounds
Hidden role
very...
negotiation game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds very niche. It sounds
Very
very
niche, yeah.
unique.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in that game. We got the full rundown, and so it was like, okay, we need to try this because I haven't, like, even with that rundown, until you're in it, I don't think we're going to really know how it plays.
We didn't get to play it.
Yeah.
We just got to teach on it. And halfway through, I was like, we need to play this because I can kind of understand what's going on, but I don't have a full grasp of what the experience is going to be like. So that is a game that we're desperately going to try to play and talk about because it sounds like accessibility-wise, it'll be kind of tough just because player count, length, rules overhead is quite large. Yeah. But it sounds like it has potential to be something really interesting, right? As for the food, I thought it was pretty decent, right?
For a convention, yeah. Like I'm used to chicken fingers and fries. There's quite a bit that they had there inside the hall itself. If you don't want to go out into the heat and the humidity. They had like acai bowls, which was one of our favorites. Friend. Yeah, we got them a couple times.
We had acai bowls for lunch 2 days in a row.
2 days in a row.
And it was perfect because it kept you full and it was nice and cool.
Yeah, they also had like
probably the healthiest thing there.
Yeah. And they also had like an outdoor food truck section, which I thought was really cool. So they had different vendors kind of pull up their food trucks and just had food going. Hats off to all the vendors who are working out in the heat and cooking, live there. So.
We didn't check out the food trucks until the last day because of that heat aspect, but it was not bad. And of course, like we were mentioning earlier, there are lots of events that are happening that we did not participate in. We did one. No, we did one event.
We did one event.
We played Suspects. With Paula.
Hi, we're solving crimes.
It's this game.
Yes.
This is the official copy of it. The one that we played was a demo version of it, so it's not one of the 3 scenarios I believe this comes with.
No, it was a scenario specific, like a demo scenario.
Demo scenario, yeah.
Yeah. And it was actually a ticketed event that did not cost any money. So I don't know how they decide which ticketed events cost money and which ones don't.
No idea.
But that was one that we were able to sign up for. Thankfully, Paula Deming over at Things Get Dicey and Watch It Played, she invited us to play this game with her. And I was really, really excited about being able to play a game at the convention with a familiar face, right? Because the convention was such a whirlwind that it was so hard to kind of meet with people.
It was nice having that, like, on Saturday at 3, we are meeting here to hang out and play a game together. So that was nice.
The thing that's funny is the event was actually on Friday, so it was the second day.
Yes.
But by the time we sat down to play this, we were exhausted. Paula and I sat down and looked at each other, and Naveen left to go get water, and we both looked at each other and went, I am tired. It was so exhausting.
It's a
already
lot of
by day
walking.
2.
You're just constantly on
Yeah.
your feet walking around. And if you're not doing these events, meaning you're not in chairs sitting down and
Yeah.
relaxing, you're pretty much on your feet the whole day. But yes, we played this one. This is a murder mystery. The scenario we had was there was a murder on the train. The lights went out, and
Yeah.
you have to figure out who did it, you
Yes.
know? And so you're interacting with cards and trying to ask questions. And it was neat. We failed miserably.
Yeah, we failed.
It was really tough, but it's way more detailed than we thought, you know?
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
went into it like, kind of looked like, well, he probably did it or she probably did it.
It's a deck of cards,
Yeah.
and you're supposed to stop at some point when you think you have the solution, and it grades you based off of how many cards you didn't need to use. And we were like, let's just use all of them.
We literally
Get to
used the
end.
entire deck of cards.
And then we lost.
And we
so
lost.
I don't know. I think we extra lost because of that. But
We used the whole deck and accused the wrong person.
Yes.
Let's put it that way.
But afterwards, we loved it so much that we wanted to get
We
it. So
picked
we
it up.
brought it home with us. And I think that's a good testament to how much you enjoy a game, right? If
Yeah.
you were able to lose gracefully and still want to play it.
Yeah, we like those
So-
kind of movies, like or TV shows, like mysteries, and so like the theme behind like what's going on in this is really really cool for us.
Yeah.
And then we also like those like unlock or escape
Right.
type of games.
I know we said we'd save the games for towards the second half of the video, but I don't think this was a Gen Con release, so you just wanted to talk about it here.
It was
This
an
is,
event for us.
Studio H.
Yes.
So what was one of your highlights at Gen Con?
100%, it has to be access to Lucas Oil Field
I knew it.
Stadium. Yeah, so that's where the Indianapolis Colts play. They are an NFL team. I'm a big NFL fan. I watch pretty much every single week of the season.
It's coming soon.
It's coming very soon, yes. And you have access to the floor level. You can actually stand from the perspective of the players and stand on the field. Granted, they have kind of things covering the field, but you can stand there and look up into the stands from where the football players play. Like
Yeah,
where-
that was cool.
Like this is where Peyton Manning played and like threw all those touchdowns, which if you know who Peyton Manning is, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
It's also where the Gen Con library was.
It's also where the Gen
Just
Con
so you
library
know.
was. Yes, where one of the touchdown end zones is, that's where they hold the Gen Con library, which
Yes.
is another thing that you have access to. They had
Yeah.
tables where you can kind of have open play.
Right.
They also had other events there that we didn't really explore beyond just kind of that open play area.
I think a lot of RPG events are held at the stadium. I think that's also where the Dungeon Room Escape thing that they hold every year is.
We should have done that.
We didn't know about it
We didn't know
until like
about
the
it.
last day.
It's too late.
If we go again, we'll definitely be going
Yes.
to try that out. It's also where we had one of my highlights of the entire convention, which was our very first meetup. It was super
yeah.
exciting. So we had a Patreon meetup. We didn't intend for it to just be exclusive to Patreon, but we've never had a meetup for our channel before. And we are only 2 people.
Yep.
So we didn't know the logistics of how that would work. What would we do? How many people would show up, right?
Well, we didn't know the layout of Gen Con, just
That
in general,
too.
like
We've
the idea
never
of,
been to
of
the
having a
convention.
meetup and being like, hey, we're all going to meet up at some undisclosed location. So
Yeah.
it wasn't until after kind of day one, we're like, okay, I think we now know of a potential area to meet up, which
Right,
was at
right,
the
right.
stadium, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, so we figured we would send the invite out to our Patreon community because, it's a smaller community that we can kind of, we feel like we can anticipate the size of the meetup.
Yeah.
And we were a little bit wrong on that. We initially scheduled it for like an hour and a half, like 7 to 8:30 or something. We'll play a game together and then we'll go to dinner or something. But we were only expecting like 6 people.
Yeah.
And closer to 20
I think
people
20,
came.
something like
Yeah,
that. And so
throughout the whole night.
fortunately, one of our wonderful Patreon members found a location in the stadium. They held down a table for us, and then we kind of all trickled in slowly. And then more and more people started coming, and we were like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I don't think we have a game that can play 20 people.
Yes.
So we had to split up into a couple different groups, and then we were fortunate enough to have 2 games that actually could play 10 people.
Yes.
So we played 6 Nymph and a fake artist goes to New York as part of the 10-player
Yeah,
games,
that's
which
right.
I was part of.
Yeah, I played a 5-player game of Cat in the Box, which was one of the hot games at Gen Con, by the way. I lost miserably, but fortunately I tied for last.
Okay.
But it was a lot of fun. There was an entire game group who came to the meetup, and they were so much fun to play games with. We mentioned this to our Patreon community, but each and every person who showed up that night, we would gladly, have game nights, regular game nights with them. It was just such a fun night.
Yeah.
Definitely one of my favorite convention experiences of all time.
Yeah, totally.
And something that we're definitely going to be planning on doing again. So for everybody who showed up to our meetup, thank you so much for such a wonderful night. It was a blast, and something that we'll never forget, right?
Yes, and we eventually did get food.
Yes.
Yes. So if you were there, we did get food.
Yeah, it went from an hour and a half to 3.5 hours. So we had a very late dinner that night.
Yes.
And not only that, but for everybody who stopped us during the convention to say hi or to say really nice things, thank you so much. We ran out of buttons. We met a mom with her 2 grown children.
Yeah.
They all play board games together. And
Gave us some recommendations.
Yeah, gave us
for,
some anime recommendations. We're going to start Monster soon. We met someone from Argentina. That was really, really wild. Someone mentioned that just watching our content makes him happy. And, you know, just hearing that makes all of this worth it.
Yeah,
right?
It's really, really nice to hear stuff like that, especially out, you know, like you see it in comments, but then like also in person to see that, that's really, really cool.
So again, big thank you. And for anybody who wanted a button, who wasn't able to get one, if you're in Europe, we have ordered more.
Yes.
So we're going to bring them with us.
They'll be coming to Essen, yes.
All right, so let's talk about some games. So of course at GenCon, there were a lot of hot games. There were games that we'd already played, some that we didn't even get a chance to see before they sold out, and then some that we were able to take home with us. So for some of the games that we did not get to play, some popular ones were games like Planet Unknown, which we don't know too much about, honestly, but that one sold out pretty quickly.
It is unknown.
Brazil, which is a Portal Games release that sounds really quite interesting.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of people compare it, or like it's akin to Scythe, which is a game that we really enjoy.
Yeah.
So it's automatically like something that we are very interested in.
Yep, but we didn't get to play it.
Didn't get to try it.
There's also Twilight Inscription, which is a new roll and write that is based off of Twilight Imperium. It's quite big. And it plays for a long time.
Yeah, I think like some people are saying an hour to 2 hours.
2 hours, yeah.
And then like I think it could play up to 8 people, and they had it demoed out there, and they had a bunch of different like space like maps out there. So I don't know what was one game and what was not a game, or if it was one big one. So that is one that we're very intrigued by. Lots of people were talking about Cat in the Box, which is another game that we have played a couple times.
This is super hot.
Did a video?
We did a video for this, so we can't talk about it too much. We did a how to play. So if you did bring home a copy and you want to learn how to play it, we have a video on our channel that's a tutorial.
Yep.
But this is the new game from Bezier. It's also designed by the same designer as Yokai Septet.
Yes.
So that was one of the initial reasons why we decided to do this video, was because we really, really like Yokai Septet.
Yeah, Yokai Septet. That's a game that Monique and I play to this day almost at every single local convention. We'll always toss it in the bag. It's a unique trick-taking game.
Yeah.
And this is also a very unique trick-taking game as well.
No suits. It's really hard.
No suits.
Like I said earlier, I got crushed in our 5-player game of this.
Another one that was really hot that Monique and I had played before Gen Con was Kites.
Yes.
This is from Floodgate Games.
Yeah.
This is a real-time cooperative game where you're trying to maintain kites in the air, which are represented by different sand timers.
Yeah.
And each sand timer has a different length of time before it runs out. Essentially, you're just trying to play out all the cards in the deck and not allow any sand timer to go to 0. And if you do that, you win.
It's a lot harder than that
hard.
sounds.
Yeah.
It is the last game, actually, that we were able to play at Gen Con. We played with Thinker Themer as well as Ruel.
Yeah, and also
before we left.
at our meetup, I did teach this to a couple different people, and they were able to play it as well. And they did pretty good. They failed miserably the first time, but then they were actually successful on the second one. So
nice.
Good for them.
Good job.
Yeah.
This is a hard game.
Another one from Leader Games is called Ahoy. This is a 2 to 4 player, very asymmetric game that we have played since then.
Yeah, I think this is another popular one. I saw a lot of people kind of picking this one up. If you're familiar with Leader Games, they, of course, publish Root, which is a highly asymmetric, really, really popular game that we love on our channel as well.
Fort, Vast.
Yes, Vast, which is probably the most asymmetric.
Very asymmetric.
But this one is supposed to be a more accessible, not version, but it's a more accessible asymmetric game. It plays 2 to 4 players. When you're playing the 2-player game, you're both playing an area control game. Once you add in a 3rd and 4th player, they are doing a pick up and deliver game while you are still doing the area control. We're going to be reviewing this in a larger capacity in a future Let's Talk Board Games episode, where we review a few of the Gen Con games that we got. But I will say, we played this at 2, and it almost made us table flip. So there's that.
It was definitely frustrating at 2, but we have played since then with a higher player count than that, which kind of changes the dynamic quite a bit.
Yes. So we will talk about it a lot more on a future episode, like I said. And just some other games really quickly. There's Downtown Farmers Market. I don't know if this was a Gen Con release, but this is a blue-orange game that we've been playing a lot of lately.
Recently, yeah.
It's like Calico, but quick and lighter, but still has that kind of like crunchy, I want to do everything at once.
Yeah, you're like setting up your end game scoring, and things are going to go wrong.
And it's very cute.
Yeah.
A deduction game that's been released by Funko. This is Rear Window, of course, themed after Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window, and this one is quite good. We're going to be talking about it on another future episode as well.
Yeah, it plays 3 to 5 players,
Yeah.
but you can totally play it at 2 players.
And it's sort of in the vein of like Mysterium or games like that, where one person is trying to lead you in a certain direction with clues on the board, but it has a strong deduction mechanic that we both really, really like. So that's Rear Window. And then this is a game that I don't think is even, I don't know if this is released or not.
I don't think
but
so.
It's from a publisher called Chili Fox. They designed, or they released
Riverside,
which is Roll and Write, as well as
Doodle Dash.
Doodle Dash, yes. That's the game that we both really, really enjoy.
Mm.
And so this is a worker placement game set in the theme of like 1960s bands.
Yeah, like the hippie era.
Yeah.
So it's Come Together, obviously a Beatles song. So so we have not played this one yet, but we do have plans to play it soon.
The one game that we were unable to play in that span of time, but this is one that we're excited to play and review in a future episode as well. And last but not least, before we revisit our top 10 list, we were very fortunate to be able to bring home a copy of the Legacy of Isla Nublar.
Yeah, this is highly anticipated for us.
Yes.
We got a rundown, like a very brief rundown with no spoilers back at PAX Unplugged.
PAX Unplugged, yes. We featured some of it.
Some of it, yeah.
In our video. And this is a game that went to Kickstarter.
Yep.
If you're not familiar, this is a Jurassic Park, Jurassic World themed legacy game from Funko Games. We didn't know we'd be able to get a copy, but we were one of the fortunate ones to be able to bring this home. And so as soon as we had it in our hands, we texted Michael and we're like, hey, we're going to play this.
Yeah.
So set aside some time.
It's quite a bit. I don't know where it's going to go. Each game says 90 to 150 minutes, so it's probably pretty deep. And it's for everything that we saw in the demo back at PAX, it had like this very nostalgia feel to it. Every time like you saw a different card and things like that. So we are very excited to get deep into this game because we have no idea where it's going to go. So and we do like legacy games. It's just we have to commit ourselves to getting them done.
Yeah.
We have to
a
do
bad track record for that.
Yes.
But this one we are going to finish, and we're going to talk about it on our channel. The first game of this is scheduled for like next week. Thursday or something. So we haven't played it yet, but we will soon.
Yep.
All right, and finally, let's revisit our top 10 most anticipated games, shall we?
Yes.
Core Quest sold out.
So
that is fantastic. Ready, Set, Bet did not make it.
Was not there.
To GenCon.
Was not at the con. Yeah.
They were not able to sell it, unfortunately.
Right.
So hopefully that'll be coming out soon, as well as the Advent calendar. So I do have to apologize to anybody out there who went looking for the Advent calendar. We had no idea that it was never planning on being there.
If it's on the GenCon preview list, I don't know.
It was on the BGG GenCon preview list.
Somebody put it on there.
Didn't say demo. So we thought that they were going to sell it there. It made sense in our minds that, hey, they're probably selling it early so that you can have it in time for the holiday season.
I know the saying in society is not to assume things. But if
we
it's
did.
on the GenCon preview list and it's like, who else put it on there? I didn't put it on there.
So sorry for anybody who went looking for it. We went looking for it ourselves. And then we were told at the Cosmos booth, they actually were like, who told you that it was going to be here?
It's like, well, we told people that it would be here because it's on the GenCon preview list.
Lofoten was also nowhere to be found. I have no idea. Did you see it there, anybody who went? Because we didn't.
We didn't see any signage for Pearl Games. I know they're under the Asmodee umbrella, but as we walked around the Asmodee, I don't think it was there. So that was our number 10, I believe, on our list.
Gartenbau and Ra. I believe those were... Gartenbau, I think, sold out, something like that.
So, yeah.
I think one of them had a demo. Raw was displayed. I don't even think that one has been released to Kickstarter backers yet. So that's probably a big reason why they weren't selling it there. But it was displayed, so we did not get to try either. But Raw looks amazing.
Looks nice,
the component quality is beautiful.
Nice and chunky.
Empire's End and Great Western Trail Argentina both had one demo copy.
Literally one laid out where people could kind of hover around it and take a look at it.
So we did not get to try either because they were very, very hot. Marrakesh also had one demo that we did not get to try at Queen Games booth, but Travis over at Queen Games gave us a rundown of what that game is like, and that game sounds great.
It does,
We got to kind of watch people playing it, and it just looks really crunchy.
Yeah,
Like-
it looks nice on the table. There's like this cube tower mechanism that's going on, and I don't know. It looks like one of those games that there's so many different avenues that on your first play you're gonna get a third of the way through and be like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. Okay, the next time I play, I'm gonna do better.
Strategically very crunchy.
Yes.
Definitely a game that we are looking to play.
Be right up our alley.
Now, as for the games we did get to try, San Francisco was one of them. And if you watched our top 10 games, that was a game that I was really hoping I would love.
It's a Reiner Knizia?
The Reiner Knizia game. It's primarily drafting, or not drafting.
It's like tile laying drafting,
Kind of like Colorado. If you've ever played a game called Colorado, where you're basically choosing a tile to put out into the display.
You're trying to build up San Francisco. That's
or
like your
you're
display.
taking an entire part of the display. So you could either be setting something up for your opponent who's going after you, or you're taking all of one stack, and then you're trying to put them on your board, and then there are rules for placement. I was not a big fan of San Francisco, unfortunately. Oh gosh, I really wanted to love that game. It has really cute artwork, and obviously the theme was something that was calling to me. But at the end of the day, the scoring and the mechanics were just sort of fell flat.
Yeah.
And it ran a little bit too long.
It ran long for what it was. When you first get it taught to you, or when it was taught to us, it sounded cool. And then once you're in the middle of it, you're like, okay, this is less cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not satisfying to play. The scores are very, very low, like 10 maybe, right? Or maybe I just scored really low.
Yeah.
But it was a very strange, it had a very strange tempo to it.
Yeah, there's a mechanism in there the one thing that I did like is you can only take from a stack if you have built up certain these tokens that allow you to take from a stack.
It's hard to re-explain.
It's hard to re-explain
it.
Like,
it's a strange game.
You can only take from a stack that's as big as the size of all the previous stacks you've taken before. And so that was a cool thing about it. But other than that, like actually like configuring your board and kind of laying things out and trying to get to scoring, it just fell flat.
I just thought the scoring was super uninteresting. And everything leading up to scoring, like planning your strategy in order to score the most, just wasn't that fun. So, but at least we got to try it.
We did.
Another one that we got to play was Planted. So that was a game on our list that people were very confused about why we had it on our list, because apparently it was a Target exclusive and it was already out.
Yep.
And the answer to that is we didn't know that.
Didn't know.
So had we known, it probably wouldn't have made our list. But we did get to play it in the very last moments of being in Indiana, because we got to play it at the airport.
Yes.
So that was one of the things that was kind of neat, right?
That was also going back to kind of like what are the highlights of the con. Yeah. So at the airports, they have different areas in the terminal once you've already gone through security, where they've set up tables. They have signage there saying, look, keep it going. Keep playing games.
Alive.
And so they had chairs, tables set up. And so while we were waiting for our flight, we had already, just kind of relaxed, and we got to play Planted with both Amy and Maggie over at Thinker Themer, as well as a new person that we had just met.
We just met there.
Yeah, that was ready to play.
So Amy and Maggie taught us Planted, and it was quite light. So that was something that a lot of people were kind of warning us about. They're like, this is a very, very light game. So if you like Parks for its mechanical simplicity, or if you love playing Parks with certain family members, and you would like to play something else in that sort of vein of genre of game, then I would recommend Planted, because Planted,
it's a different mechanism, obviously.
It's a different mechanism.
You're not just moving,
So Parks is kind of that weight and beautiful, right? Beautiful look to the game. But it's primarily action selection, I suppose, and set collection, whereas Planted is very, very similar in weight and look, but it is
it's drafting and like order fulfillment technically, or
plant fulfillment.
Like it's like plant maintenance. Like you're trying to make sure you get the resources to by the end of the round, make sure you have enough water and sunlight to allow your plants to thrive and not kind of spoil.
So component quality is fantastic, out of this world. The experience fits its appearance and kind of what it's advertising itself to be.
Yeah, it's one of those games like you can be playing with your family, talking, having a conversation, and casually the game is going on in the background instead of the game being the center of the attention.
Right. So for us, this is something that might be a little bit too light for us to kind of bring out and play frequently. But it was nice that we got to experience it. And like I said earlier, it's something that I would recommend for people who enjoy games like Parks. And finally, for the two games on our list that we were able to bring home, we have Terracotta Army, which is a game that sold out, I think, immediately, like the first day,
yeah,
right?
I think within the first like 3 or 4 hours, it was
Yeah.
gone.
We were fortunate to be able to bring home a copy. This is a game, of course, from Board and Dice, and it was one of our super most anticipated games. We were able to play this once, and we played it at 3. Before we put out a review of it, we're going to play it a few more times at 2.
At 2, yeah.
But how did you feel about it?
No, it's a good game. It's one of those games where the actions you can take can change from turn to turn. So you can't truly plan out like I for sure am going to be able to do this, because you have to manage your meeples, and there's meeples of different sizes that can go out onto different parts of the board. And so I could potentially be like, I'm going to take that action there, but maybe Monique manipulates the action wheel. So now that action's not even available. Okay, now that action's over there, but oh no, somebody else went there. So now I don't have the ability to do that. So it's one of those games where like, when it's your turn, it's like, now I have to assess, okay, what can I do now? Because things have changed from the previous 2 players who went right after me. So there's a lot of good things going on in this game, and I think I need to play it a couple more times to really know exactly what I'm doing.
It is primarily an abstract area majority game. So if you like, especially area majority games, then this might be something down your alley. For me, I found it to be quite frustrating because I was really having a hard time with that wheel. You know, you look at the wheel, and when we talk about the wheel, it's the action selection mechanic.
It's the worker placement action selection.
The worker placement, yeah. This is pretty much what you're doing a majority of the time, is manipulating this wheel and trying to get resources from it. There are going to be moments where you only have a few options on the wheel just because of the worker that you have left over, as well as how much money you have, because you have to spend money in order to rotate the wheel. And so there were a couple times, especially in the earlier rounds of the game, where I was completely shut out of even like putting out a soldier, which is one of those pieces that you put onto the board to score. And I just felt like I didn't have many options just because of how the wheel worked. So I'm looking forward to giving this another try and seeing how, how I can...
Things evolve.
How I can become better friends with this wheel. Because during that gameplay of it, we were not friends at all. So.
The wheel was it's just set up randomly. So it wasn't like, it just, for some reason, in your first initial couple turns, you were set back just based off of the way the wheel kept kind of turning for you.
And I felt like I was just so behind. I was like second player. So second player gets like...
one less resource, and a little bit less money.
Yeah, than the third player.
Yeah,
so Naveen was the third player, and he was able to put out a soldier like right on the first turn.
I was able to build right away,
Second player felt like a very tough position to be in, but I'm definitely looking forward to giving it another try. It feels very well designed, but like I said, abstract strategy, area majority. You gotta like those kinds of games, I feel.
Yeah.
To really like this one.
I think you like the concept of the wheel.
I do.
But the area control.
Yeah, I love worker placement.
Got a little tough, yeah.
Yeah, but the area majority, just kind of thinking that way is really hard sometimes. And then our last game that we were able to bring home that we played a ton of.
This is the one we played the most. This is Turing Machine.
Yes. This is published by the Scorpion Masqué.
Yep.
This is one of the games that was really high on our list because of the computer. It's like a computer with no electricity, right?
It's an analog computer where it's like these punch cards, and the way it's designed is amazing.
Yes, and we've learned now that this is based off of the computer that Alan Turing, mathematician that the game was named after, he designed a long time ago, and we didn't know a whole lot about him going into our last video or even going into this one, but we know that there have been some atrocities committed in his lifetime that it would be great for people to learn about. In this game, you're basically trying to figure out a 3-digit code. And there are verifiers on the table. This game is extremely hard to describe, to explain, by the way. The first time I read through the rule book, I was like, I have no idea how to play this game. I read through this entire rule book. I had to call Naveen over and be like, can you just like go through the first problem with me?
Yeah, we worked together just because it's a 1 to 4 player game.
Yeah.
So you're essentially just trying to find a 3-digit code, and the code can be a whole different set of like rules for how you're gonna come about discovering what the code is.
Yes.
And you have to use these punch cards and try to solve kind of like deduction reasoning as to how exactly you're going to arrive at the code.
Yeah.
And so it was very difficult to learn just from the rule book itself.
Right. So each round, each player is proposing a code that maybe they think it might be, and then you're basically trying to pit it up against these different verifiers that'll tell you yes or no whether your code is kind of on the right track. It's very difficult to explain without having the components out.
Even with the components out, it might be a little difficult. Yeah.
But just know that it is a deduction game and it is quite good.
Yeah.
The one thing that I find to be slightly annoying is putting out the cards, because you have to organize them. If you've played a game like Awkward Guests, where you have to organize the cards based off of number, and every single scenario is a different combination of cards, that is very similar in this game. It's not as bad because it's only like 4 or 8 or 10 cards at a time that you're having to put back, reorganize, and then take out again.
Yeah.
But it's really fun.
Yeah.
We've played like 8 of the scenarios that come in the book, and I think there are 20 of them that come in the game, and then there are millions of them that they're uploading to the website, which may or may not be live now.
I don't know yet.
We haven't dipped into
We've
those
been
yet.
told that there's up to about 7 million combinations with all the components that are in the base game. So in the base game, there are 20 scenarios, but outside of just this, you can access those 7 million other ones either now or in the future. With the components you have here, you don't have to buy anything extra, which is amazing.
We haven't played the advanced scenarios, but we will make sure to play a few of those before we give our more full review in the future. All right.
Yeah.
So that is everything. That was a lot. This is probably a long video. We apologize, but like we said, we have timestamps for everything, just in case you want to jump around. But if you were at GenCon, please let us know what your favorites were or just how your experience went. And again, thank you so much to everybody who stopped us and said hello and said really, really nice things, because we can't state that enough, how grateful we are to have been able to meet everybody and just experience our first GenCon and have it be such a success, right?
Yeah. So thank you again to everyone for watching the video. We really hope you enjoy it. If you'd like to see more like this in the future, please consider subscribing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.